Hi, this is Professor Woods, and this is part 1 of our lesson on Hawaii legislative history. Hopefully you've not forgotten which documents are the most valuable from last week, but just to give you a quick review, first is a conference committee report, followed by committee reports, committee prints, debates, bills, hearings, and signing statements. This would be the governor's signing statements at the state level. We begin by going to the library homepage and looking at the research links and clicking on Hawaii Research. Here you want to go to the Legislative History tab. And there you'll find the worksheet that I use, as well as the annotated worksheet to show you how to fill it out. There's also instructions on this page of how to do the legislative history on your own. Before we get going, let's have a look at this worksheet. Put the date and your name in here, the statute that you're researching, one line from your legislative history, and then as we go along you can fill in the rest of this particular form. It will help you immensely as you continue your research in legislative history. First, let's go to WestlawNext. And then let's see what they have under legislative history that we could use here in Hawaii. Click on that link on the browse page and you'll see there's some federal resources, but there's nothing here for Hawaii. This is misleading, to say the least. There's plenty of legislative history for Hawaii. It just doesn't seem to have made it into this table yet. For this session, we're going to be looking at HRS 291C-123, driving or parking upon a bikeway. And we're looking at the legislative history for this particular statute. So go to WestlawNext and put HRS 291C-123 in the search box, and you'll be taken to this particular law. If you scroll to the bottom, immediately pick up your currency statement so that you have that for your blue book. I just do a copy and paste, Control C, Control V, and then you can grab the history out because we're going to do more than 1 year. But we can only do 1 year at a time on a worksheet. So we're going to do the 2014 one. It's a clickable link. Click on that link and you'll be taken to the bill, or the session law, sorry. Grab the bill number, House Bill 1706. Grab the legislature, it's the 27th. And then you can scroll down and you can see where the highlighted material is. So they're going to fine people $200 now. Go to the Legislative History Materials tab, and here, even though it says 2013, this was actually finally passed in 2014, but it must have started in 2013, and a legislature lasts 2 years beginning in the odd-numbered year. This is a Hawaiian bill tracking. It's very difficult to read because it's just so densely packed. I don't recommend you use this because of that. It's kind of a waste of time if you have trouble reading. But you can get all of the committee reports here. You can download them all. I'm going to show you a free site that is a little bit better after we finish with Westlaw. But you could just grab all of the 2014 committee reports here, and if that's all you needed, you would be done. So it's fairly quick if you know exactly what you're looking for. If we go back to, so what I'm showing you here is that you can get them all. Go to the bill drafts and you'll see the top one is the version that was adopted. So that's the last version. They have all the other versions there too. and you can get a PDF image of it, but you'll see this is Senate Draft 1, Conference Draft 1. It's the same thing that we've seen before. Click on Graphical Bills. Now this is a page where it's probably going to be outside of your plan no matter where you work here. So you want to find out how much it costs to click in this section before you actually click in this section. Here you can see there are two committee reports that were kind of hidden. And if you want to look at those, you just click there. But as I said, I think that there are additional charges. This is material coming from a company called NetScan. And it's very good material. It's just that it's probably costing quite a bit. Now we're going to go over to the state legislature's site, www.capital.hawaii.gov. This particular page has the legislative session that started in January 2014, and it will be archived when January 2015 comes around. So we're going to search for House Bill 1706. That's what you put in the bill status or measure status. That's what that's about. And here you see a status page. And you can see that it had three drafts, a House draft, a Senate draft, and a conference draft. There was a companion bill, a Senate Bill 2732. You also have links to all of the bills, all the versions of the bills, I should say, and all of the committee reports here. Let's look for a minute at the very first bill draft and see what we can learn from it. And it says here that the maximum fine is $500, but the typical fine is $35, and it's usually sent in by mail. So people aren't taking this particular law very seriously. Page 2 shows that originally they were going to fine only $100, but not more than $500. So that's a difference too. Page 3 of this particular bill doesn't show us very much, but very often what you'll find here is justification, and it will be lengthy and it will aid in your understanding of why they have created the bill. So always look at the first draft of a bill to see what other information is there to help. Let's now return to the website and see what else we can get. And here's something you don't get on Westlaw or Lexis, links to the testimony that was submitted for this particular bill. Sometimes you can even get video testimony in the actual committee itself. And that would be through the link to view on-demand media above this, the versions of the bill. You can search this site for REP period to find out where all the committee reports are listed, and you can copy down the names from this report, but that's a bit tedious, and I think there's an easier way from the site to get to it. So let's go back and see the links for the committee reports. There are 5 links here. You can get the PDF, which is the really official looking one anyhow, or you can just click on them individually for the HTML. If you click on the PDF version, you do have to download it. And this is what it looks like. And it gives you the reason for the particular legislation, as well as you can see here all of the people who were on the committee and how they voted. So it looks like they have amended this bill and they want it to pass with the amendments. So let's look at this. It says that tickets rarely exceeded $35 minimum, and they were just mailing it in. So they are trying to make a statement about bicycle lanes, so they've upped it to $200. And you would go back and gather all of the committee reports in a similar fashion, and then you would read them and start your analysis. Now let's go to some testimony and see what that looks like. So this is from the Department of Transportation Services, and they're talking here about how the fine was insufficient to cover it. Here's another comment from an individual. Some of the testimony submitted for this particular bill also included photographs of cars in bikeways and how they're dangerous for people that are riding on their bikes. Now let's go back and look at the worksheet and see how it's developed. So we have put in the statute with the currency statement, the 27th legislative session, regular session. I left the link in for Westlaw so I would be able to get back. I included the House bill number and the various standing committee reports, those numbers, as well as the abbreviation for the committee that they were sent to. The rest of this form is for the book use and to get testimony from the archives. Some of these older materials have been digitized, but it's hit or miss. And we go back to our library homepage and we're going to click on Hawaiian, and we're going to scroll down to the Session Laws Library, where we'll see that we have all the session laws scanned into Hawaiian Online. So we just have to find the right state, and then you can see it's from 1845 to 2013. It doesn't have 2014 yet, but that's yet to be published. And these are the exact replicas of the book, so we don't miss anything like we do with some online systems. LLMC Digital is another. And we search by subject here. Search for Hawaii. You'll get a list of all the materials, and they have the House and the Senate journals here, but they're not all there, so there are omissions, and you could get lucky that there would be the year you needed here, but it's not necessarily going to happen, so it's not a complete archive yet, but they're working on it. The last thing we need to talk about is how you cite all of these materials that are legislative, because they come in a different rule. They come in Rule 13, and they can be quite challenging because they only give you federal stuff as a model. But I've made a handout for you, and I will pass this along so you'll know how to cite to these things if you need them. That concludes Part 1 of Hawaii Legislative History Research.